My name's Garrick, and I started watching porn when I was 15. I watched it for 18 years. Not many people talk about the truth of how pornography affects them, but that is exactly the point of this video. I'm going to explain how it affected my marriage and how I broke free from it. And I hope that my story will inspire you to leave this awful addiction and live the life that God intended for you. And it's not easy, but I promise you it's way better. So my porn addiction started when I was 15. My brother's grade, the one below mine, got issued laptops when he was a freshman. I was a sophomore. And the grade below us were the ones that started it. So nobody in my grade above got laptops. My brother and everyone below him did. And he was able to bring it home every single day. So from the day he got issued his laptop, I had basically unrestricted access to the internet. Now, like most addictions, right, it started out mild. And I'm not going to get graphic, but the videos I watched when I was 15 were like vanilla, right? They were very tame in comparison to what I ended up watching over a decade later. And the videos that originally felt wild and extreme, eventually that made me feel like almost nothing. Like it was just blah, didn't need it. And porn is like any drug, right? Like the more you do it, the more you need to do in order to get that same high, right? Like you need a bigger hit. And with porn, that just means more intense videos. And I clearly remember like specific points in time when I pushed the limit throughout the years. And I remember watching more and more intense videos. And I remember each of those levels like affecting me. And there aren't like clear levels, but I do remember specific times where I would watch something and afterwards I was like, wow, that was really intense. And when I watched a new level of porn, right, for the first time, I got that like really big high because it was a bigger hit than I had ever taken before. And I wouldn't care about the reality of what I was watching because while I was masturbating, I didn't care, right? Everything was just like, ugh, it was carnal, right? But after I was done, the guilt always, would set in. And especially those times when I was kind of pushing it, once I was done, I would just think to myself, like, you're such a garbage human being. But then the next time I wanted to watch porn, I needed that kick again. And I would go right back to the same video or just something similar, right? And it just kept escalating like that over and over again for years. And you can use your own imagination of where that led me, right? But it was not good for my mental or my spiritual health. And it's hard to admit that, but I'm not alone. The addiction to pornography plagues the majority of men in America, especially younger men. And that's why I want to be honest, right? The more people who talk about the negative effects of porn, the sooner we can address the issue. And people who are wise enough to see it know it's a problem, but so many people don't. And as the saying goes, right, like the first step to solving a problem is admitting you have one. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to shine a light on the problem, and I'm not the only one that's doing it, but I'm just trying to add my 2 cents. So here's the truth. Porn is a plague. And this is my own specific critique on it. It is a gift straight from the devil. It is designed specifically to destroy men and women and ruin relationships, and it does its job so well. It affected my marriage for nearly a decade. And the main problem was that instead of fulfilling my need for intimacy through my marriage and using that gift from God to bring me and my wife closer together, right, I just watched porn. And it's not that I only watched porn, right, had sex with my wife, but how close can you be with your wife when you're constantly watching other women have sex? Like, since I've been married, this is weird to say, but since I've been married, I have seen so many other women, countless women, have sex. And that's not normal. And you know when the problem was the worst? It was when me and my wife would get into arguments. When we fought, I didn't care about like the sexual implications because if we argued, I could just get what I wanted sexually from my phone. It was almost like a green light. Like it's not my fault, it's her fault, right? She's being ridiculous. And so I get what I want because, she's not being reasonable, right? That's what I'd tell myself, subconsciously. I didn't need my wife, right? She's being annoying. So instead of coming together, resolving our issues and making up, I just go look at other women have sex. And it doesn't take a smart person to realize how idiotic this is for a relationship. And I know other men who've dealt with this issue. And in my experience, men watch, and it makes sense too, right? But men watch more porn when they're going through hard times in their marriage. But that is exactly the time when it's the worst thing for you to do. It's that moment when you and your wife are struggling. That's when you need prayer, right? In that moment of difficulty, when you should lean on the Lord, instead of doing that, praying together, coming closer together, suffering with the Lord, offering it up, instead, the devil slides in and further increases the distance between you and your wife. And the crazy part is that I never even realized it. And this happened over and over again for years. And it greatly affected my marriage. And I was working on a book, but recently I realized that I suck at writing and doing videos is more my thing. But this is an excerpt from a part of it that I had written, and this is exactly how I feel about married men watching porn. So, quote, "To be clear, I'm not looking down on anyone. I was there. I was there for 18 years, but society has lied to us. You have lied to yourself if you think it doesn't affect your marriage. Sex is sacred. It is a gift from God and should be treated as such. It is intimate. And even if you don't believe in God, even if you think all my religious points are wrong, it doesn't matter. If you think you can watch thousands of women have sex with other men and that doesn't affect your marriage, you're an idiot. I mean, you are really, really effing dumb. Like next level stupid. Like go back to first grade and do it all over again stupid. If you honestly believe this, you're the definition of dumber than a box of rocks, and your wife deserves better." End quote. So how did I break free of my addiction? Right? Long story short, I asked God for help, and I was honest with my wife. Those two things. That was my own personal formula for success. I asked the most powerful being in existence to help me, and then I was honest with my wife when I failed. And it took about a year for me to finally quit completely. And sometimes, honestly, I would fail, and since I failed once, I wouldn't say anything right away because I wanted to watch some more before I had to say something. And I know that sounds terrible, but it's honest, right? Like it was a strong addiction. And when I would fail, I would just kind of relapse. But inevitably, I would tell her because I told her I would. And I'd have to look her in the eyes. And I basically, what I said was, hey, I watch porn. But what I was actually saying was hey, you're not enough. In those moments, right, I wanted more, and your physical beauty is not enough for me. And I saw it in her eyes, and it crushed her, right? And thankfully, my wife is loving and very forgiving. God bless my wife. She is an amazing woman. And she stuck with me, and now we have a really strong marriage, but it's not easy. It's not easy to break an 18-year addiction for myself or however long it may be for you, especially when you carry the drug around in your pocket, right? You're carrying this around everywhere, and I can always access my drug. But you can do it. I never thought I would be free of pornography, but I am now. And I'd be lying if I said it wasn't still a draw and I don't still feel that pull. Sometimes I think about it, I'm fallen and that addiction's still there, but it is so much better on this side. I promise you that. And I wanted to end this video with one more bit from my never to be published book. It is a good way. I kind of put a bunch of thoughts down, but I think it's a good summation of my thoughts on pornography. So here it is. Quote, "Every time you give in to your demonic desire to watch pornography, you destroy your marriage. Again and again, you tear it down. Piece by piece, it crumbles, and it's your fault. If you disagree, you're wrong. That's why I'm being honest about my porn addiction. It is a scourge on this earth. It warped my idea of sex for so long. During the years I watched it, the sex I had with my wife was shallow and empty. I never realized it until I purged it from my life. Sex is so much better now. You want a great sex life? Don't masturbate and only orgasm when you have sex with your wife. Does it take discipline? Definitely. Is it annoying sometimes when your wife gets her period? 100%. But it will be the best sex you've ever had because your wife will know you are saving yourself for her. You are hers and she is yours. And you are willing to put in a lot of effort to make her feel loved. And women love that. They want to feel loved. They don't want to feel like one out of thousands. What woman would? So stop making your wife's sexuality one of her most prized attributes as a woman, this cheap thing that you don't care about. Treat it with the highest degree of respect. Treat it with the highest degree of care. And your sex life will get better than you ever imagined. Until next time, stay safe, live free, and God bless you. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.